This is MTGO Traders. My name is Taryn. Amonkhet is here. Alright, Amonkhet technically isn't here. That doesn't start for another week. But Wizards of the Coast has decided to put out an article with a bunch of information on Amonkhet. So just to be clear, previews don't start until next week. This is just an info dump from Wizards to catch everybody off guard. With that being said, let's just get into it. All this information is coming from Blake Rasmussen's article, So Much Amonkhet News. And geez, there's so much Amonkhet news. So first, the Amonkhet Magic Story Beat. That, alongside the masterpieces of the set, will be announced on Wednesday, April 5th. Hopefully we get to see what has happened to our Planeswalkers since planeswalking from Kaladesh to Amonkhet. I know Liliana's there maybe to kill the demon, but everyone else is there maybe to try and kill Nicol Bolas. I mean, they don't have a plan, but you know, who needs a plan? As far as the masterpieces from Amonkhet goes, I have no idea what they're going to put in this set. I'm kind of hoping for like a camel from Arabian Nights. Am I right? I mean, it's a camel. This is an Egyptian themed set. I mean, that would be awesome. I mean, I'm just guessing. I mean, it's just that's purely conjecture. Next up on the article, they're going to be talking about the punch cards for Amonkhet. And I know what you're thinking, you're like, punch cards? Like Pokemon? I think Wizards finally decided that it was time, since the board states were getting so complicated, to introduce a cardboard piece to kind of illustrate the +1/+1, -1/-1, things like that. I think it's definitely an awkward thing to do for Wizards, but I think it's something that's necessary. But the keywords for Embalmed and Exerted sound super interesting, and we'll get into those later in the video. But first, let's go over the Amonkhet promos. Archfiend of Ifnir, which is, that's a hard name to say, is the buy a box promo. I believe right below that in the article, there's just showing as an example the effects from that card to the other card, which was Oracle's Vault, which is a pre-release rare since it had the date on it. But look at that awesome art. Isn't that cool? I love the icon here. It's awesome. Also, cycling is back, ladies and gentlemen. That is amazing. I haven't seen cycling in a card since, I don't know, it's been like, what, 15 years? I can't, just someone obviously correct me in the comments, but I think it's been like 15 years. Like 2002? Something like that. If you're not familiar with cycling, it really helps on like stabilizing your hand, especially in a draft environment. So let's go over the mechanics. Cycling is 2 mana, discard this card, draw a card, okay? So a situation in draft for this kind of cycling format would be you're drawing all lands or you're drawing bombs early in the game, things like that, but they have cycling on top of them. Now what that's gonna be able to do is, you don't wanna necessarily play your 6/6 for 6 flying dragon or whatever, but you can cycle it and try and get a new card with it. And usually in cycling sets, there's a lot of cards that deal with graveyard interaction. So let's say you cycled away your 6/6 for 6 flyer that you need later in the game, well then you'll have cards like Gravedigger, which is getting reprinted, be in the new set. And that'll help you kind of get your value for both. So drawing a card and being able to play your big bomb later in the game. Cycling is a lot of fun. It's kind of confusing at first when you see it. You're like, what? Draw this card, draw? Okay, I mean I can, but it's not that great. It's deceptively good. So moving on from that, we've got the game day promos, Trueheart Duelist and Glorybringer. And those are the show up for the event, for the game day event, and then the top 8 for Glorybringer. And Trueheart actually has one of the new mechanics on it, which is called Embalmed, and we'll kind of go over that now. I'm just going to quote this real quick since it's really complicated to say. Embalm is an activated ability you can activate if the creature card with Embalm is in your graveyard. Notably, you're not casting the card from your graveyard, so things that counter spells won't work against the Embalm ability. The original creature spell can be countered, of course, but that just puts the card in the graveyard. I think you see where this is headed. To activate an Embalm ability, simply pay the Embalm cost and exile the card. You do this anytime you would cast a sorcery, meaning during your main phase when nothing else is happening. When the ability resolves, you create a token of that card, but as you'd expect, going through the process of mummification causes some changes. It's got that whole undead thing going on, so it's a zombie in addition to whatever creature types it used to have. You'll find lots of ways to take advantage of its new zombiehood, I'm sure. I'm not yet sold on the Embalm mechanic. I think it's a cool graveyard recursion. I think the Embalm mechanic is interesting, but we're gonna have to see kind of what card it's gonna go on before I kind of say it's like amazing or not. I think that if it's in a like low to the ground, mono black or black blue, black red, something like that strategy with zombies, I think that would be really cool. I think the mechanic is interesting, but I think I need to see what cards are definitely going to get this keyword mechanic. For now, I'm optimistic though, of course. The next mechanic is called Exert. Again, I'm going to quote from the article. Exert allows creatures to give a little bit more effort to produce unusually good results. You make the decision whether to exert a creature as you declare it as an attacker. If you choose to have it exert, an ability will trigger and grant you some bonus. As a trade-off, the creature won't untap during your next turn. It's tired. It needs a nap. Attack more later. You don't have to exert the creature as it attacks. If you don't, no ability will trigger, and it will untap normally during your next turn. Note that as you declare attackers is the only time you can have it exert. You can't wait until later in the turn and then exert it. When your next untap step rolls around, if the creature you exerted is untapped, nothing happens, and the exertion costs you nothing. Maybe you found a different way to untap it, or maybe you gave it Vigilance. Okay, so here's a mechanic I can definitely get behind. Exert is basically like if you're being aggressive, you can just from then on just be a little more aggressive. Get that extra punch in there. Obviously the untap step is going to be a hard to deal with issue, since that's basically, you know, ice over. Something like that. But I think there are going to be a lot of really good cards in the limited environment that's going to help on untapping creatures, so you can kind of keep going back in for your exert cost. I definitely think Glorybringer has a really good example of what the exert is going to be able to do and how much damage it can actually do too. So basically it's like a win more mechanic, which can be good and bad in different situations. But I think depending on what the exert actually does per card, we'll see something really good out of that. Okay, so next up we're gonna have the Playmat beyond here. Look at that Playmat, it's so nice. I mean, look at it. Look at the colors and you're a champion. I mean, wow. I was kind of hoping for like a Planeswalker. Just to see something that was on it that I was like, oh, we're gonna have this in the set too. But I mean, it's good. It's fine. It's all right. You know, whatever. The last thing I'm going to talk about before I get into the common cycle that they showed as well is the Magic Open House. What Magic Open House is, and it's going to be, I think, titled Magic Open House Amonkhet this time since it's the first one. It's going to be basically an event that you come to the week prior to Amonkhet. And it's for new players, completely new players. Now, that's not to say that older players and more seasoned veterans can't show up. If you bring someone with you, you definitely get a new promo card for just that event. And then new players definitely get a 30 card free deck. All the cards in the 30 card deck are standard legal, so they can be played in standard, obviously. But this is really just a, like trying to get new players into the game before the pre-release happens. And the pre-releases are usually always the most casual event possible. So if you're interested in the pre-release, kind of going to this event prior to the pre-release gives you like an idea of like what to expect, so you're not having to learn on the fly. I think one of the things the pre-release kind of does the worst job of is giving the available time to be able to teach new players who are trying to get into the game during the pre-release. I think the pre-release is definitely for newer players, but players who, you know how to play the game, because you're under a time limit most of the time. I think it's a good idea. I think having seasoned players bring new players and them getting a reward as well as the newer players getting a reward, I think that's a great idea. Again, incentivizing promo cards for seasoned players is always a good idea. But that's about it for the news. I'm just going to kind of run through some of the reprints and the new cards in the set. And then we're going to wrap this video up. Impeccable Timing is coming back, so that's cool. I mean, it was in the last set, wasn't it? I believe it was in either Kaladesh or Aether Revolt. I mean, hey, it's a good limited card. It's got great art, and it's really good against, you know, the your standard aggressive deck. Giant Spider's back. I mean, I think that it goes without saying now that a Giant Spider should be reprinted and always in standard. A new art's cool. Great flavor text as always. Mighty Leap is here, and the art is straight up like a Mission Impossible or The Mummy Returns style art. It's awesome. I love it. Ancient Crab. Who can forget about the Ancient Crab? I mean, come on now. I mean, it's amazing, right? I mean, that's like first draft pick, right? I mean, that's you see that card, Ancient Crab. Forget the rare. I'm gonna pick for Ancient Crab. That's what I'm gonna do. Cursed Minotaur is looking sweet. That Menace mechanic, like I realize it's still a relatively new mechanic and it's an evergreen mechanic, but every time I see it, I'm like, wow, that got printed. Like, I understand it's a new mechanic and it's an evergreen mechanic now, but it's so interesting, and it's really good because it helps just kind of drive out those stale board states in draft. Dune Beetle's here. I mean, for flavor, where is Brendan Fraser at? I need him here. I need him in the actual graphic. Come on now. Fling, a great limited tempo card to break up like stubborn board states. That's awesome. Hyena Pack, 3/4 for 4. I'll take it. Spider Grasp is also very good. One of the several, I'm assuming, cards is going to be dealing with flyers in the green. Then we got Angular Drake, which is another Drake from a set of Drakes. It's a creature type of Drake, and it's a great Drake for limited Drake. You know what I'm saying, Drake? I can only mean one thing. He knows what I'm saying. 6 cents? Was this card printed before? I can't remember. I'm kind of disappointed now because I can't remember if it was or not, and I'm not going to do the research because I'm lazy. But it is weird that it's not a black or white card, am I right? Like, I mean, come on, where's Bruce Willis? It's strange. But I mean, like, this is an enchantment card, so maybe there's more auras to come in the future. I'm excited for that. Okay, here we go. So here's Gravedigger back, loud and proud, with some sweet new art. Again, in Cycling, you get to throw your card in the graveyard, draw an extra card. Later in the game, if you have a Gravedigger, that really helps in getting your recursion back. So you have your Gravedigger, you play it. Oh, I get my 6/6 for 6 back that has flying that I did for Cycling earlier in the game. you're in trouble. You know, that's kind of where it's at. It's really good card advantage and really good like interaction between the two mechanics. Some more cards that are going to be in the welcome deck, and I think the Planeswalker deck as well, is the Graceful Cat, which is a 3-mana, I think a 2/2 that can attack with 3. Pretty cool Anthem ability. And finally, we've got Tattered Mummy. Hopefully this is a sign of things to come for the Life Loss stuff. I'm really only saying this because I have a black-white Taxes deck in Standard right now, and I really need some extra value. Come on now, guys. Let's get some extra value. I'm super pumped for Amonkhet. Are you pumped for Amonkhet? Leave a like on the video if you liked it. Leave a comment. Let me know if you're pumped for Amonkhet, or what kind of cards you're wanting to see that are in Amonkhet as well. And again, what kind of mechanics you're excited for Amonkhet. I think Exert is going to be a really cool mechanic. Again, keep an eye out for preview videos in the future for next week. Definitely hit subscribe so you can see those. But as always, I'm Taryn. This is MTGO Traders. Thanks for watching. Hey! Like Modern Masters 2017? Sweet! We drafted some just last week. Check those videos out here. Want to buy some sweet cards that were printed in Modern Masters 2017 but at a cheaper price? This Goyf has been steadily falling for days now. 36 tickets for one of the best creatures in the game? Yes, please! You've also got your Path to Exiles, Damnations, a bunch of other cards. Check out more cards and prices over at mtgotraders.com.